Hi, hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 10th February 2024. My name is TSV Raghavan and I live in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog on YouTube. Hardan, 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 Haribol, TSV Nectar, NECTAR, Nectar. In this particular vlog, in all my previous videos, we have been trying to study, analyze, and discuss in detail all information and knowledge that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video in this vlog is no exception to that rule. In fact, it is a mere continuation of all that we have been trying to do in all my previous videos. Kindly subscribe to this vlog and press the bell icon so that I may keep reminding you of all my previous, present, and future videos. So let us continue with the topic of discussion for today's video. In the past few videos, we have been trying to understand the psyche of every human living entity, both male and female, in a lifetime in this material world. During the process of understanding this psyche of human living entities, we came across a few terms which play a perennial role in the formation and working of the psyche of every human living entity, both male and female. These terms are mind, destiny, karma, zodiac signs, different types of ego, and so on. While trying to find out why, how, where, when and why a particular feature that controls or monitors the psyche of a living entity works. We came across a couple of case histories belonging to the major three categories of human living entities in the society in any given lifetime in this material world. In that process, first we tried to understand what these three broad categories on an average are. They are 75% multitude of humanity of the vegetative kind, which considers this life as a gift from destiny to be enjoyed and suffered without making any major contribution to one's own individual life in a lifetime. This belongs to the category of mundane human living entities who go about their own individual lives all their lives in a trance like state. The second category belongs to the 20% among the 25% of the multitude of the same society. These 20% realize at least that every life in this lifetime in this material world is meant to be used to achieve a particular purpose in a life. However, alas, these human living entities, both male and female, are grossly materialistic, selfish, sadistic, remorseless, greedy, and lusty in nature. That is precisely the reason why they are attracted towards the 20% dark negative forces of this material world in a lifetime. According to Srimad Bhagavad Gita, there are five major evils that haunt every human living entity, whether male or female, in varied degrees. These five necessary evils are known as kama or lust, krodha or anger, lobha or greed, moha or illusion, and ahankara or ego. These five necessary evils haunt every human living entity, whether male or female, in varying degrees. No human living entity who has come into a lifetime in this material world can deny the fact that all these necessary evils are already present in his or her psyche in a dormant or active state in various degrees. That is, every human living entity, whether male or female, suffers from the existence of these five necessary evils in his or her psyche. At the same time, this society has been divided into three major modes of material nature by Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavad Gita, a segment of the great Hindu epic called the Mahabharata. These three modes of material nature also are present in various degrees in dormant or active state in every human living entity, whether male or female. These are known as goodness, passion, and ignorance. Of these three, 75% are ignorant, 20% are passionate, and only 5% are essentially good. Goodness in Sanskrit is sattvic, passion in Sanskrit is rajasic, and ignorance in Sanskrit is known as tamasic. I would hasten to add here that the percentage of goodness, passion, and ignorance may differ according to circumstances also. It is not necessary that it could be as per the division of society as 75% vegetative, 20% negative, and 5% positive. It may be not according to this category at all. It is quite possible that while goodness will be sattvic and good all along, passion may also be positive and not necessarily negative all along. And at the same time, ignorance may also be passionate or ignorant in various degrees all along. Yes, there is another category of human beings divided into two by the same Srimad Bhagavad Gita. These are first category of divine natured humanity, and the second is demonic natured humanity. You may safely assume that those who are divine in all categories usually belong to the positive side, whether they are from the 75% vegetative kind or 5% positive kind. At the same time, among the demonic natured people, you may find even those who are otherwise vegetative but who have a negative approach towards life. It is not at all necessary that they should belong to the 20% multitude of this society. Only some qualified people, qualified in the negative sense, who realize their negative purpose in life, qualify to be a part and parcel of this 20% society of negatively inclined people. This 20% is ruled by the dark negative forces of this material world and has been in existence for times immemorial. In other words, people have come and gone during numerous lifetimes and gravitated sooner or later according to their own whims and fantasies, choices, defaults, designs, ego, greed, wish, choice, preferences, etc. towards this bracket of 20% negative forces. To understand all this better, we tried to analyze several case histories which belong to those human living entities, both male and female, who belonged to the 5% positive humanity as well as 20% category of humanity. For the time being, we have not delved into case histories of those from the vegetative kind, which comprises 75% of multitude of this society, only because we felt that any discussion of the case history of one vegetative human living entity will necessarily be repetitive with others of the same category. In other words, those who are of the vegetative kind and who do not have a positive or a negative purpose in life think that they have come into this world only to enjoy or suffer the benefits or pain provided by destiny to them, and according to them, this destiny is controlled by God. How wrong they are. They only realize when, according to their own karma or thought or preference or destiny, they one day realize that what they had been thinking for so long was a lie. Whatever happens to every human living entity is only according to his or her own free will, doings and undoings. This they realize sooner or later, and this depends on every human living entity's own destiny or karma. However, those who have a negative purpose in life and who belong to the 20% bracket of this society of dark and negative forces. One case history we are trying to analyze in detail to understand how the psyche of that particular living entity works and acted or reacted according to his mind, ego, and other factors. This particular protagonist of this case history is none other than one guy called Joaquim Chapo Guzman. We are trying to study his life in detail in some of my videos of the past few days in detail. By now, we realize how Joaquim Chapo Guzman found himself in the position that he was as a teenager. It is quite evident that this guy was cut out advertently or inadvertently, by default or by design, deliberately or otherwise, knowingly or unknowingly, thanks to his own whims and fantasies or otherwise, and these factors cut him out as unnatural for the dark negative forces of the Mexican underworld. That was precisely the reason why, as a teenager, he found himself as an underling in one of the most notorious gangs of drug smugglers from the province of Sinaloa in Mexico. Those immediate bosses of Chapo Guzman, who were monitoring his activities, realized very soon that he was essentially more human than they would have chosen him to be. For others, it may come as a reward. But as far as Chapo Guzman was considered or concerned, it was actually a negative qualification. In his line, to be a sissy was a negative aspect or a negative quality. When this Chapo was ordered to kill one householder who was besieged by his own children, and that made Chapo go weak kneed. His own bosses sneered, jeered, and laughed at Chapo. This made the teen-aged Chapo Guzman very angry, upset, and frustrated. This would shape his own psyche for future history. On that very night, he decided that henceforth he will avoid being a sissy. This particular thought captured his brains, his mind, his ego, and his psyche to such an extent that it began making Chapo more and more cold-blooded. Now we will take a detour. Chapo Guzman was not only born in four number of the zodiac sign of April of Aries in 1957, but as an Aries, he had a megalomaniac nature beaten hard into his psyche right from his own birth. Thanks to his torturous childhood and deprivation, this Chapo began feeling that he will prove to this world that he will slowly but steadily end up as the king of the international underworld. The sneering and jeering from his own father played a large part in shaping his innocent childhood psyche, and as a teenager, when he became finally tough minded, his megalomaniac nature showed its or began showing its ugly face. Now, Chapo Guzman had become not only ruthless and murderous, but he also decided to be unscrupulous enough to use this world and its own weaknesses to his own advantages and to achieve the final power or purpose of ending up as the king of this underworld in the complete world. Chapo Guzman decided to control the complete drug smuggling in the international drug dealing scene. This is all I wanted to talk about in this particular case history. Kindly let me know what you think of my talk on this particular subject. Please give me your own expert views, thoughts, ideas, and opinions so that I may blend everything together for the sake of this society. Before concluding, let me remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.